Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to start and scale a thriving virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 178. Am I really stealing the client? Am I, Sam?
God, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to talk about this on the podcast? In an ideal world, it would be lovely not to even have this on our radar. But unfortunately, it does happen. There are scenarios that we hear of personally a few times a year at least, and they're just the ones that we hear about. So we know it's happening more than obviously just the stories we hear. And when we talk about stealing clients, we're not talking about when a VA business owner has a client, the client's unhappy, decides to go and work for another virtual assistant. Yeah. That's fine. No one's stealing any clients there.
No.
The situations that we're talking about when a subcontractor is working for a client who is being onboarded by a VA business that the subcontractor works for. Those are the situations. If you're a subcontractor and if you're asking yourself if you're stealing this client, the chances are it's going to be yes.
Yeah. Not even chances, I think yes. If you have to think about it, am I stealing this client? Yes. You have to ask yourself that question. You are.
If you're asking us, we actually have that. We have subcontractors that reach out to us, obviously listen to the podcast, saying, I just want to get your advice on this. This has happened. This is the situation. But it's okay though, right? Like they want us to make them feel better about their decision for stealing this client. But I'm sorry, you're coming to the wrong people if you want us to confirm that what you're doing is okay.
And there's kind of two scenarios, right? There is the scenario where you as a subcontractor have built a great relationship with the client and you think, this is easy. I've been doing work with this client. Why am I getting paid this when the client is paying this? Actually, I could cut out the middleman and I'm going to approach the client and see if they just want to work direct with me because I'm doing the work anyway. So it makes sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could even add on top of that the scenario where your relationship with that client actually is a longer term than the client's relationship with the VA business that you subcontract to. You may have brought that client on. You may have referred them to the VA business that you're subcontracting to.
Yeah. That is scenario one. The scenario two is that the client might approach you as a subcontractor, as the team member of the VA business and say, hey, do you want to work with me directly? Like I could pay you more than you're on now. It would be cheaper for me. We could meet in the middle. What do you think?
Hey, tempting. Not going to lie about that. That's a tempting situation.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to get paid more, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's get one thing really, really straight right here, right now. The client is not your client. It is the client of the VA business owner. So when you're saying, my client this, my client that, it's actually not your client at all. I think once you realize that this is not my client, I don't have a contract with the client, so it is not my client. The contract is actually with me and the VA business owner. The VA business is actually my client.
So chances are you're going to be in breach of of the contract that you have with your client, the VA business. Mm-hmm. And both scenarios, the client in themselves is likely to be in breach of contract, the one that they've signed with the VA business owner as well. So legally, legally, this is just a minefield. This is just a recipe for disaster. Like, as soon as you are in breach of your contract, and if we're talking in these, you've got two different parties being in breach of their own contracts, multiple contracts are being breached left, right, and center. This is not good.
This is not good for a number of reasons. Like, this could actually cost you a lot of money because you might have a clause in your contract. It actually means that you're going to get charged for this breach of the contract. It also means you're burning bridges. Yeah. Why would you want to have a reputation for being the subcontractor who steals clients in an industry where lots of people know each other? VA agency owners know each other and talk.
It's a small world. Reputation is everything. If you think that this is not going to get out, I can tell you now that it will.
Yeah. So if a client does approach you in that second scenario that we talked about earlier, then the right thing to do is say, look, I'm sorry, but my contract is with the VA business owner. I can't work directly for you, nor would I want to. This is actually a really great situation for you because these are the benefits, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then telling the VA agency owner, right?
That's key. That's key in terms of not burning those bridges with the agency owner that you work for. Just have the honest conversation with them. They are going to be very, very thankful. And if there are some issues that need to be ironed out so everybody in the equation is happier, then that's not going to happen until you have that honest conversation.
Yeah, letting them know that they're going to be super happy that you let them know that this is not going to be like, oh, you've done something wrong. No, you were doing the exact right thing that they're going to appreciate so, so much. So don't be afraid to have that conversation.
Do the right thing.
Yeah. I think also remembering too that the VA business has actually done a lot of upfront work. Like, it might be tempting to think, down the track, oh, this is just easy. I'm doing all the work for the client now. What is the VA business even doing? But remembering that they did all of that marketing, all of the sales, the onboarding, and then they are doing account management with that client. So all of that upfront work, like, that's something that gets kind of paid off over time, of the duration of that client being a client. So don't be tempted to think, oh, well, this is just easy because now I'm doing all the work and the VA business isn't doing anything. No, they did a lot of work upfront. They spent time, money, energy, a lot of it upfront getting that client in the first place.
There's nothing easy. There is nothing easy about this. There's nothing easy about finding clients. There's nothing easy about keeping them happy. Nothing easy about keeping your team members happy. If you've listened to any of any other podcast around this, you will know simple is very different to easy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about pricing, because I think this is another story subcontractors tell themselves in order to make them feel better about potentially following through with stealing a client. And that's around, wow, it's going to be more affordable for the client. Yeah, they're not going to be paying agency rates. They're going to be paying freelancer rates.
Yeah. But remembering that when a client comes to a VA agency, there is a benefit that comes with hiring an agency over a freelancer. One of those benefits is that the client doesn't have to think about what would happen if the VA resigned or stopped working for that business or stopped being a VA altogether, because that VA business is going to find a replacement and that client doesn't even have to think about that. What if their VA is sick or on leave? There's a backup. There's some cover that can be put in place to still have that work continue for the client. So that's why they are paying a premium rate at a VA agency for those added benefits.
And your relationship with this client isn't going to be the same, is it? A subcontractor and client relationship is actually very different from a VA business owner and a client relationship. So you need to keep that in mind too. It automatically becomes more complicated, more time consuming.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to deal with all the problems and issues and rectifying mistakes and all sorts of things the VA business might have done for you. So if you are a subcontractor and you are wanting to get your own clients at a higher rate and working directly with you as your client, then there are other ways to go about this that aren't going to hurt your reputation. And this means that you're going to have to put yourself out there and do the work to bring on your own clients, to find those leads, to onboard them, etc. So focus on that if that's what you want to do, to bring in your own clients.
And remember, if you are asking yourself or you're wanting to ask us, am I really stealing this client? The answer is yes, you are.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.